The stars shined brightly against the dark void of space as the Dauntless moved slowly through the Kuiper Belt. Captain Olivia Grant stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the main screen. After 15 years of service in the United Earth Space Force, she thought she had seen everything. She was wrong. "Captain, we're picking up an unknown object at coordinates 227 by 84, said Communications Officer Peter Mills, his voice filled with surprise. "It's big, and it's not on any of our charts." Olivia walked closer to his station. "Asteroid?" "No, ma'am. It's moving against the orbital flow. And it just changed direction." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. After decades of searching the stars, humanity was not alone. "Battle stations," Olivia ordered calmly. "Not because I expect a fight, but because I want us ready. Lieutenant Wright, keep weapons on standby, but do not target." Lieutenant Daniel Wright nodded, his fingers hovering over the weapons console. He was young but smart, and Olivia trusted his judgment. "Object is approaching, Captain," said Navigator Susan Baker. "Speed is incredible. They'll reach us in minutes." Olivia took a deep breath. "Open all communication channels. Let's try to talk before anything else." The unknown ship slowed as it approached the Dauntless. It was beautiful in a strange way, smooth and curved like water flowing through space. It was at least 5 times larger than their ship, and glowed with soft blue light. "They're scanning us," said Science Officer Ryan Jones. "Our entire ship, every deck, every room." A minute later, Peter looked up from his station. "Captain, they're sending a signal. I think they want to talk." The main screen flickered and showed the inside of the alien ship. Standing there was a tall, thin being with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. Its head was hairless, and it had 6 fingers on each hand. "Greetings, humans of Earth vessel," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Karvosh of the Sarani Exploration Fleet. We have been observing your kind for some time." Olivia stepped forward. "I am Captain Olivia Grant of the United Earth Space Force vessel Dauntless. We welcome peaceful contact." Karvosh made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Peace is always our preference, Captain. Your species is young but interesting. We would like to meet in person, to speak more about our civilizations." Lieutenant Wright moved closer to Olivia. "Captain, I don't like this. It's too easy, too convenient that they speak our language." "They've been watching us, Daniel," she whispered back. "Who knows for how long?" She turned back to the screen. "We would be honored to meet, Karvosh." "Excellent," the alien replied. "We will prepare a meeting space aboard our vessel. Bring a small team. We have much to discuss about your future." After the screen went dark, Olivia called a meeting of her senior officers. "I don't trust them," Daniel said immediately. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" Chief Engineer Samantha Powell nodded in agreement. "And did anyone else notice how they said your future, not our future together? That sounded strange to me." "I understand your concerns," Olivia said, "but this is first contact. This is what we've trained for. This is why we're out here." She looked around at her crew. "I'll lead the team myself. Samantha, Daniel, Ryan, you're with me. Peter, you'll monitor communications from here." As they prepared to board the alien ship, Daniel checked his sidearm one last time. "You won't need that," Olivia said. Daniel looked at her seriously. "I hope you're right, Captain. But something tells me the Xorani aren't just here to say hello." The shuttle bay doors opened, revealing the massive Xorani ship waiting outside. As they flew toward it, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to change forever. Whether for better or worse, she didn't know. The inside of the Xorani ship was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with soft light that changed colors slowly. There was no clear line between technology and the ship itself. Everything flowed together smoothly. Karvosh led Captain Grant and her team through wide hallways. "Our ship is partially organic," he explained, noticing their wonder. It grows and heals itself when needed. Samantha Powell couldn't hide her amazement. The energy requirements for such systems must be enormous, she said. Hervosh made that strange laughing sound again. We harvest energy from what you call dark matter. Your species still burns chemicals for power, yes. The way he said it made it sound primitive. Daniel Wright felt his face grow hot. They entered a large room with a circular table in the center. Other Xorani were waiting there. They were similar to Karvosh, but with slight differences in height and the patterns on their skin. Please sit, Karvosh said. We have prepared a visual history of our civilization. The air above the table filled with three-dimensional images showing the Xorani homeworld and their expansion across many star systems. Their history went back millions of years. They showed how they had helped guide other young species they had encountered. And now we have found you, Karvosh said. Your species has potential, but you are still very young. We have made great progress in the last century, Olivia said proudly. We have colonies on Mars and Europa now. One of the other Xorani, who introduced himself as Science Director Meltor, nodded politely. Yes, you have just begun to leave your cradle. That is good, but you have far to go. Perhaps we can help speed your development. Ryan Jones spoke up. We would be interested in cultural exchange, learning from each other. Of course, Karvosh said, but something in his tone didn't sound sincere to Daniel. Perhaps you would show us your ship now. We are curious about human technology. Back on the Dauntless, the Xorani visitors looked at everything with what seemed like polite interest. But Daniel noticed the small glances they exchanged with each other, looks that seemed almost like amusement. When they reached the weapons control room, Karvosh asked for a demonstration of the ship's defense systems. Our main weapon is this railgun system, Daniel explained, pointing to the diagrams on the screen. It uses magnetic acceleration to launch projectiles at high speed. Karvosh blinked slowly. You still use physical projectiles. Interesting. Most species develop energy weapons before leaving their home system. The railgun is highly effective, Daniel said, feeling defensive. It can deliver precise strikes with significant force. Karvosh touched the console with one six-fingered hand. May I? Before Daniel could answer, the alien had accessed the weapon specs. Fascinating. You accelerate metal objects to such slow velocities. He looked at Meltor. They are still in the metal-throwing phase. The two aliens made chirping sounds that the translation system didn't catch, but their body language made it clear. They were laughing. Perhaps a small demonstration of our own technology, Karvosh said. He lifted a small device from his belt and pressed it. Suddenly, all the lights on the Dauntless flickered and died. The emergency systems came on a moment later, but the main power was gone. A simple energy pulse, Karvosh explained. No permanent damage. Your systems will reset in approximately 1 hour. Olivia's face was tight with anger. That was unnecessary. It was educational, Karvosh replied. For both of us. His voice became more serious. Captain Grant, my fleet has entered your solar system. We have come to offer the human species protection and guidance. Your world has resources we find valuable. In exchange for these resources, we will share some of our knowledge. That sounds more like a demand than an offer, Olivia said quietly. Karvosh looked at her with his large, dark eyes. It is simply the natural order. The strong protect the weak. The wise guide the young. He smiled, showing small, sharp teeth. We will give your leaders time to understand this, but know that resistance would be unwise. 3 days later, Earth was in chaos. News of the alien arrival spread across every nation. People reacted with fear, excitement, and confusion. World leaders gathered in an emergency United Earth Council meeting, while military forces around the globe went on high alert. Admiral Frank Donovan stood before the council, his face grim. At 62, he had served in the Space Force for over 30 years, but nothing had prepared him for this. The Tyranny fleet has positioned itself just beyond lunar orbit, he reported. We count 27 ships, all larger than our biggest vessels. Captain Grant's report suggests their technology far exceeds our own. The Secretary General, Eliza Warren, leaned forward, and their demands. They want our water resources, rare minerals, and what they call biological diversity samples. In exchange, they offer technology sharing and protection. Protection from what? Asked the Chinese representative. They didn't say, Admiral Donovan replied. But the threat is clear. Comply or face consequences. The room fell silent as the reality sank in. Humanity was facing its first interstellar threat. What are our options, Admiral? Secretary Warren finally asked. Limited, ma'am. Our combined fleet counts 46 combat-ready vessels, but based on what we've seen, they wouldn't last long against Tyranny weapons. The Admiral pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's defenses. We could try ground-based missile systems, but if they can disable a ship's power with a handheld device, I doubt our missiles would reach their targets. So you're saying we surrender? The Russian representative demanded, slamming his fist on the table. I'm saying we need something they don't expect, Donovan replied calmly. He hesitated, then continued. There is one possibility. Project Thunderbolt. Secretary Warren's eyes widened. That's still experimental. It's our best hope, Donovan insisted. Dr. Howard believes it's nearly operational. Meanwhile, 200,000 miles away on the far side of the moon, Dr. Alan Howard stared at the smoking remains of the power coupling. The lunar base's lights flickered as emergency systems kicked in. That's the third burnout this week, said Lisa Chen, wiping sweat from her forehead. At 29, she was the youngest engineer on the Thunderbolt team, but also the most brilliant. Dr. Howard nodded wearily. The power requirements are just too high. We can accelerate the projectile to the speeds we need, but the system can't handle the energy discharge. They stood inside a massive underground chamber that housed Project Thunderbolt, a giant electromagnetic railgun designed to launch projectiles at speeds approaching a fraction of light speed. The weapon was Earth's secret defense project, started years before anyone knew aliens existed. The problem is we're trying to release all the energy at once, Lisa said thoughtfully. What if we used a staged release system instead? Before Howard could respond, the communication system beeped. Admiral Donovan's face appeared on the screen. Alan, please tell me you have good news. We're close, Frank. Another week, maybe two. The Admiral's expression darkened. We don't have weeks. The Tyranny have given us 48 hours to accept their terms. Lisa stepped forward. Sir, I think I have a solution to the power problem. But we'll need resources and time. I'll get you whatever you need, Donovan said. Just make it work. He lowered his voice. The council is split. Some want to fight. Others want to surrender. If we can show them we have a chance. After the call ended, Howard turned to Lisa. Tell me about this solution. She quickly sketched a diagram showing multiple capacitor banks arranged in sequence. Instead of one massive discharge, we use staged capacitors firing in precisely timed sequence. The total energy is the same, but the system won't overload. Howard studied her design, his eyes widening. This could work, but we'll need to reconfigure the entire power delivery system. Then we better get started, Lisa said, already heading for the tool cabinet, because I don't plan to let some blue aliens take over our planet. As they worked through the night, news arrived that the Dauntless had returned to Earth orbit. Captain Grant would join Admiral Donovan in planning Earth's defense strategy. Time was running out. Earth has made its decision, Secretary Warren announced over the secured channel to the Tyranny command ship. Her voice was steady despite her fear. We decline your offer of protection. We are willing to discuss fair trade agreements, but Earth and its resources remain under human control. The screen showed Karvosh, sitting on what looked like a throne. He sighed as if disappointed in a child. A regrettable choice, but not unexpected from such a young species. You will learn the cost of pride. The transmission ended. In the United Earth Council chamber, everyone was silent. "And so it begins," Admiral Donovan said quietly. He turned to Captain Grant, who stood nearby. "Olivia, I'm placing you in tactical command of our Third Fleet. Your experience with the Tyranny might give us an edge." She nodded, though they both knew it was a slim hope. "What's our strategy, sir?" "Buy time," he replied. "Dr. Howard needs at least 36 more hours to ready Thunderbolt. We need to keep the Tyranny busy until then." On the lunar base, work continued nonstop. Lisa Chen hadn't slept in over 30 hours, but her hands remained steady as she connected the final circuits in the first stage capacitor bank. Beside her, Dr. Howard monitored the energy flow readings. "First bank is online," she announced. "Power flow is stable at 85% capacity." Dr. Howard nodded, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "Good. Let's bring up the second bank." A young technician named Joe Miller rushed in. "Sir, we just got word. The Tyranny have started their attack. They're taking out our orbital defense platforms one by one." Howard and Lisa exchanged worried glances. "How much time do we have before they discover the base?" Lisa asked. "Unknown," Miller replied. "But the moon's far side location and our minimal energy signature should keep us hidden for now." "Keep working," Howard ordered. "We need all 5 capacitor banks online and the targeting system calibrated. Nothing else matters now." In Earth orbit, the battle had already turned grim. The Tyranny ships moved with impossible grace, their energy weapons cutting through Earth's best warships like paper. The human vessels fought bravely, using every trick and tactic they knew, but they were simply outmatched. Aboard the Dauntless, Captain Grant watched the tactical display with growing despair. 2 Earth ships had already been destroyed, with 3 more heavily damaged. The Tyranny had yet to lose a single vessel. "Lieutenant Wright," she called, "what do you see in their attack pattern?" Daniel studied the display carefully. "They're methodical. Each ship has an assigned sector. They don't overlap or provide support to each other." "Overconfidence," Olivia said. "They don't think they need to watch each other's backs." She opened a channel to Admiral Donovan. "Sir, I think we can use their arrogance against them. If we concentrate all fire on a single target instead of spreading out our forces." "Do it," Donovan ordered. "I'll redirect the first and second fleets to support your attack." The Earth ships changed tactics, gathering into tight formations and focusing all weapons on individual Tyranny vessels. For the first time, the aliens seemed surprised. Their shields flickered under the concentrated fire. One of the smaller Tyranny ships, caught between 2 human cruisers, suddenly exploded in a brilliant flash of blue light. A cheer went up across the human fleet. "We got one," someone shouted over the open channel. But the celebration was short-lived. The Tyranny response was swift and merciless. 5 human ships were destroyed in the next 10 minutes. "They're not underestimating us anymore," Daniel observed grimly. "No," Olivia agreed. "But we've shown they're not invincible." She opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, continue hit and run attacks. Don't stay in one place long enough to become a target. We need to survive as long as possible." On the lunar base, Lisa connected the final capacitor bank. "All 5 stages are online," she reported. "Power flow is stable." Dr. Howard smiled for the first time in days. "Start the targeting calibration. It's time to see if this thing really works." 24 hours into the battle, Earth was losing badly. 13 human ships had been destroyed, with 8 more too damaged to fight. The Tyranny had lost only 3 vessels, and their main fleet remained untouched. In cities across Earth, people watched the sky with fear. The Tyranny ships were now visible as bright points of light, even in daylight. News reports showed the destruction of orbital platforms and satellites, with debris burning up in the atmosphere like deadly shooting stars. Admiral Donovan stood in the main Earth Defense Center, surrounded by screens showing the worsening situation. His uniform was wrinkled after a full day without rest. "Sir," a young officer reported, "the Tyranny flagship is moving into low Earth orbit. They're positioning themselves above the North American continent." "Are they launching ground attacks?" Donovan asked. "No, sir, but they're broadcasting a message on all frequencies." Karvosh's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm, almost bored. "Your resistance is both impressive and futile. We had expected surrender by now." His large eyes blinked slowly. "Perhaps a demonstration will help you understand your situation better." A bright beam of energy shot from the Tyranny flagship toward Earth. It struck the uninhabited island of Devon in the Canadian Arctic. When the light faded, satellite images showed a perfectly circular crater 3 miles wide where the center of the island had been. "That was our smallest weapon, at its lowest setting," Karvosh announced. "You have 6 hours to reconsider our offer before we target a populated area." The defense center erupted in panicked voices. Donovan silenced them with a raised hand. "Get me the lunar base. Now." On the moon, Dr. Howard and Lisa were making final adjustments to the Thunderbolt railgun. The massive weapon stretched nearly a mile through the underground facility, its barrel aimed at a launch port that would open to space. "We're ready for a test fire," Lisa reported, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. The communication screen lit up with Admiral Donovan's face. "Test fire. We need the real thing, and we need it now. The Tyranny just vaporized part of Devon Island, and they're threatening populated areas next." Howard shook his head. "Frank, we haven't even done a single live test. We don't know if the targeting system will work at these distances." "We're out of options, Ellen," Donovan replied. "What do you need to make this work?" Lisa stepped forward. "We need to get closer. The targeting margin of error increases with distance." "How close?" Donovan asked. "Ideally within 10,000 kilometers of the target," she answered. Donovan's expression hardened. "That means putting the weapon on a ship. Can you build a portable version?" Howard started to object, but Lisa cut him off. "Yes. We've already built a smaller prototype. It won't have the full power of the main installation, but it should be enough to penetrate their shields if we get close enough." "Do it," Donovan ordered. "I'll send the Dauntless to pick you up. Captain Grant knows the Tyranny better than anyone. If anyone can get close enough to their flagship, it's her." 3 hours later, Captain Grant stood in the Dauntless cargo bay as the portable version of Thunderbolt was loaded aboard. It was smaller than the lunar installation, but still massive, filling nearly half the bay. Dr. Howard and Lisa supervised the connection to the ship's power systems. "We've reconfigured it to use your ship's fusion reactor," Howard explained to Olivia. "But we'll only get one shot before it burns out your power grid." "One shot is all we need," she replied. "If we miss, we'll be dead anyway." Lieutenant Wright joined them, looking at the weapon with mixed hope and doubt. "Will it really work?" Lisa patted the railgun's control panel. "The math says yes. Theoretically, the projectile will reach 0.1 c, 10% of light speed. At that velocity, even a small tungsten rod will carry enough kinetic energy to do what?" Daniel asked when she hesitated. "To potentially destroy their flagship," she finished quietly. Olivia looked at her remaining crew. Only 11 of her original 30 were still aboard. The rest had been transferred to other ships to replace lost personnel. "Let's make it count then," she said. "For Earth." Admiral Donovan gathered the captains of Earth's remaining ships for one final briefing. His plan was simple but dangerous. "The Dauntless will approach the Tyranny flagship carrying our new weapon," he explained. "The rest of us will create a diversion to draw their attention. We need to get Captain Grant's team close enough for a clear shot." "How close is close enough?" asked Captain Steve Ramirez of the Valiant. 10,000 kilometers, Donovan replied. "Much closer than we've been able to get so far." The captains exchanged worried looks. None of their ships had managed to get within 50,000 kilometers of the flagship without taking heavy fire. "It's a suicide mission," someone muttered. "It's our only chance," Donovan corrected. and Captain Grant has volunteered. Aboard the Dauntless, final preparations were underway. The portable railgun had been secured in the cargo bay and connected to the ship's power systems. Dr. Howard monitored the status while Lisa made last-minute adjustments to the targeting computer. Captain Grant called her senior officers for a briefing. "We'll use the debris field from the destroyed orbital platforms as cover," she explained, pointing to the tactical display. "Our goal is to get within range, fire the Thunderbolt, and then get out fast." "What are our chances?" asked Navigator Susan Baker. Lieutenant Wright answered before the captain could. "Does it matter? If we don't try, Earth is finished." Olivia nodded in agreement. "Daniel's right. This isn't about our survival. It's about everyone else's." She looked each crew member in the eye. "I'm proud to serve with all of you." As they prepared to leave dock, Dr. Howard approached Olivia privately. "Captain, there's something you should know. The power requirements for the railgun are enormous. When we fire, it will drain your engines completely. You'll be dead in space for at least 10 minutes while the systems reset. So we won't be able to get out fast after firing," she said, understanding immediately. "No," Howard confirmed. "You'll be defenseless." Olivia absorbed this news silently, then nodded. "We'll deal with that when the time comes. Let's focus on getting into position first." The battle resumed with renewed intensity. Earth's remaining ships launched a coordinated attack on the Xorani fleet, deliberately drawing fire away from the Dauntless. Ships sacrificed themselves to create openings, their crews knowing they were buying time for humanity's last hope. The Dauntless moved quietly through the chaos, using the debris of destroyed stations and ships for cover. Inside, the crew worked in tense silence. Each person knew their role in this final mission. "Multiple enemy ships at 2 o'clock, Susan reported. "They haven't spotted us yet." "Hold course," Olivia ordered. "Stay in the shadow of that debris cluster." The ship slipped between broken pieces of a former space station, its engines running at minimal power to avoid detection. Slowly, carefully, they approached the massive Xorani flagship. 30,000 kilometers and closing, Susan announced. In the cargo bay, Lisa worked frantically to calibrate the Thunderbolt's targeting system. "We're picking up strange energy fluctuations from their shields," she told Dr. Howard. "There's a pattern to it, almost like they're opening small sections temporarily." Howard studied the readings. It must be for their sensor data. Even energy shields need to let information through. His eyes widened with realization. "That's our target. If we can time our shot to hit during one of those fluctuations, we could pierce their shields," Lisa finished, already adjusting the firing sequence. 20,000 kilometers, Susan called out on the bridge. Lieutenant Wright monitored the enemy ships. "They're still focused on the main battle. They haven't noticed us." Then, suddenly, all sensors blared in warning. "Captain," Daniel shouted, "the flagship is turning toward us. They've spotted us." On the main screen, the enormous Xorani vessel rotated slowly in space, its weapons ports beginning to glow with energy. 15,000 kilometers, Susan said, her voice tight with tension. The communication system activated, and Karvosh's face appeared. He looked amused. "Captain Grant, a bold move, but futile. What do you hope to accomplish with your little ship?" "Open a channel," Olivia ordered. She needed to buy time, just a few more minutes to get within optimal firing range. "Karvosh," Captain Grant said calmly, facing the alien on the screen. "I wanted to speak with you one last time before this ends." The Xorani commander tilted his head. "Before what ends, Captain?" "Your species' futile resistance. Before we show you what humans are truly capable of," she replied. While she spoke, Lieutenant Wright sent silent signals to the cargo bay. 12,000 kilometers to target. They needed to get closer. Karvosh laughed. "I admire your spirit, but it changes nothing. Your weapons cannot harm our flagship. Your best efforts have barely scratched our smallest vessels." In the cargo bay, Dr. Howard and Lisa worked furiously to track the shield fluctuations. The pattern is becoming clearer, Lisa whispered. There's a 3-second window every 2 minutes where the shield weakens near their main sensor array. Can you time the shot to hit during that window? Howard asked. Lisa nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. Yes, but we need to be within 10,000 kilometers for the highest chance of success. On the bridge, Olivia kept Karvosh talking. You know so little about humans, despite your observations. We don't surrender. We adapt. We overcome. A charming philosophy, Karvosh replied. But adaptation requires time, which you no longer have. The Dauntless crept closer. 11,000 kilometers. 10,500. Tell me, Karvosh, Olivia continued, in all your travels, have you ever encountered a species that surprised you? That did the impossible. For a moment, doubt flickered across the alien's face. What are you planning, Captain? 10,000 kilometers, Navigator Susan announced quietly. Olivia's finger hovered over the communication button. Now, Dr. Howard, she shouted. In the cargo bay, Lisa initiated the firing sequence, capacitor banks charging, all 5 stages engaging. The Dauntless shuddered as massive amounts of energy flowed through its systems into the railgun. Lights flickered throughout the ship. Warning alarms blared. On the main screen, Karvosh's expression changed from confusion to alarm. Their weapon system is drawing enormous power. Target their cargo bay immediately. Shield fluctuation in 3, 2, 1. Now, Lisa shouted. Dr. Howard pressed the fire button. The railgun unleashed its payload. A tungsten rod, 3 feet long and 6 inches thick, accelerated to 1/10 the speed of light. The Dauntless was thrown backward by the recoil as the projectile shot toward the Xorani flagship. The rod crossed the distance in less than a second, striking the flagship precisely at the weak point in its shields. The kinetic energy released was equivalent to a small nuclear explosion. The Xorani ship didn't explode immediately. Instead, a small hole appeared in its hull, hardly visible from the Dauntless. Then, a brilliant blue light erupted from within the alien vessel. Cracks spread across its surface like spiderwebs, each one glowing with intense energy. Their power core is destabilizing, Daniel reported, amazed. The impact triggered a chain reaction. The flagship began to break apart, each piece glowing brighter than the sun. Then, in a blinding flash that temporarily overwhelmed the Dauntless's sensors, the mighty Xorani vessel was gone. The shock wave hit the Dauntless moments later, spinning it wildly. As predicted, the ship's systems were dead, with only emergency life support functioning. In the silence that followed, the crew gathered on the darkened bridge, watching through the viewports. The remaining Xorani ships had stopped attacking. They seemed frozen in space, as if unable to process what had happened. Did we do it? Susan asked. Did we actually destroy their flagship? With a primitive projectile weapon, Daniel added, a small smile forming on his tired face. Slowly, the Xorani vessels began to move. The humans held their breath, expecting a final, vengeful attack. Instead, the alien ships turned and accelerated away from Earth, disappearing into the darkness of space. The communication system sputtered to life with its backup power. Admiral Donovan's voice came through, broken and static-filled, but clear enough. Dauntless, do you copy? What did you do? The Xorani are retreating. They're leaving the solar system. Captain Grant looked at her brave crew, then at Dr. Howard and Lisa, who had joined them on the bridge. We showed them not to underestimate humans, she said simply, and not to mock our weapons. As rescue ships approached the disabled Dauntless, Earth celebrated its unexpected victory. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and survived, not through superior technology, but through determination, ingenuity, and the simple physics of a very fast projectile. The railgun had spoken, and the galaxy had heard.